with the Jets losing Becton, and I know he's playing on the right side for them right now, and that had been an issue with Dillard, but it's not as much now from what we're hearing. Do you think there's a possible partnership there with the Eagles and the Jets, with the Douglas Howie connection? Maybe Dillard going there at all? .com. Of course, you can catch all of our interviews there, and JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. All right, excited to be talking to our next guest. You can follow him on Twitter at
there he is.
NFL. Yes,
Hollywood.
Yes, look at him. Look at Adam, man. He's got the shades on.
It's sunny here, guys.
He's gone big time on us. He is the one of the hosts of Inside the Birds, along with our friend Jeff Mosher. He does a phenomenal job. What's going on, Adam? How we doing, man?
I'm good, guys. I'm out about a half a mile from the Bucs training camp here in Tampa with the Dolphins here. I'm about at the midway point of my 4-week tour, so you guys caught me at a good time. Practice was ended about half an hour ago.
Dude, when I talked to you last week, you were in San Francisco one day and then Florida the next day. How many camps do you cover in a 4-week period?
Well, see, what I do, Degon, is it's more about teams and camps because I see a lot of joint practices. So today, the Dolphins are in. They're also in tomorrow. It saves me time and everything else. So I'll probably see about half the league by the time I'm done. In fact, my tour will end, guys, in Miami in 2 weeks.
Wow!
With the Dolphins at the Dolphins' new training complex in Miami Gardens, Florida, which they just moved into last summer.
Wow. Nice, Adam. What's from what your jaunts, where you've been so far, your journey thus far? Has anything really stood out? Has one team really caught your eye? Has anything player-wise, a rookie, a vet, a guy in a new place, has anything really stood out to you from your other camps?
Rob, let me start with this. So the camps, when I first started covering the league, D-Gun could back this up because he's been covering the league longer than I have. First of all, the practices were 3.5 hours when I first started covering the league in 2000.
Yes.
Now we have the infamous 57-minute Eagle practice. Barrett, I'm guessing 3.5 hours for you when you first started playing?
3 hours in the morning, 2.5 at night.
Now, wait a minute. The 2.5 at night, wait a minute. You did, but were you in pads both practices?
Yes.
In
Westchester, my first year. Yes, in Westchester.
Oh, man, okay. Well, so Rob, to answer your question, every practice is crisp. There's no standing around anymore. Now, here's a little nugget which surprised me. Everyone talks about Ted Rath, who came over from the Rams, who was his strength and condition coach for the Eagles. Mm-hmm. Well, they brought him in because the Rams have historically had at least the last 3 years, the best injury problems, in terms of low numbers. So they bring him in, right? Well, the Rams had a 2.5 hour practice last week. I was like, what is this about? An hour and a half. I couldn't and unfortunately, that's when Stafford had a setback with his right elbow. Right. So they pulled him out after 10 minutes. But yeah, the practices, Rob, my first thought would be on your question. They are so crisp, so tight. I mean, and even in a joint practice, though there was about a 30-second skirmish where players were pushing each other, they're like, on to the next drill, on to the next drill. They don't waste any time.
That seems to be the new thing these days, maximizing efficiency with practices.
Yeah, but Adam, would you agree with the fact that, and Barrett has talked about this extensively, teams are condensing practices. We constantly use the word now maximizing the time that they have allotted, but yet when the regular season starts, we see every year for the last 5-6 years an increase in the injuries, especially the soft tissue type injuries. So is it beneficial to these players to go this route? I mean, I know that's what they wanted in a new collective bargaining agreement, but to me, it doesn't seem like it's getting the bodies and the mind ready for the rigors that lie ahead.
Talking to the league about this, they have what's called a ramp-up period, the first 5 days. They wanted it expanded or extended because they found that a lot of soft tissue injuries happen within the first week of camp.
Okay.
And that's why they do it. Now that what I worry about the first 4 or 5 weeks is because they don't tackle. Typically, the first month of the season, defenses are ahead of the offenses, and it's more sloppy than good football.
Yeah.
Then once it balances out, then the offenses take over. And look at training camp. You guys have been there. The defenses, second week they get better, but the first few days it's ridiculous. The defenses are dominating the offenses.
Yeah.
I look at Eagles practice today. They were out there 50 minutes. They did maximize it, but they still got guys out with concussions. Guys, like both running backs. You know, both the second and third team running backs are out like that. So there's always going to be injuries. I understand maximizing your potential while you're out there, man. But I mean, are we doing it to the detriment of the game? I mean, for the first, you don't get the team doesn't get their identity until after the fourth game. It took the Eagles until the eighth game to get theirs. You know, I mean, is it really helping them out doing this?
They do studies and the less, but as long as you get in everything you need to get in, historically you're gonna be healthier. That's what they think. The shorter practices are better, but it's the sloppy tackling I always have a problem with early in the season because you're not tackling. I get it. The Eagles have been on this with sports science. Recovery, I get about, as a football player, recovery is very big. If you could recover and not have a heavy practice. Now today, remember, it's going to be light anyway because it's like a Friday practice in an NFL season, which is just over an hour, because they have a game on Friday. This would be like a Friday practice for Sunday. So I get that,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
But it's going to be the thing that surprised heard with Sirianni today. He said that the starters will play a series or two. Historically, when we had 4 games in the preseason, the starters wouldn't play in the first game, but we've got one less.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask, Adam. It would seem like if you're erring on the side of caution, it would be, I don't know, an unnecessary risk to put some of the starters in there, though it would be a short amount of time. But I'm in favor of getting them a little bit of work and getting them out of there. It could be as much as a good drive and they're gone, right? Is this just we have too many new faces here? We got to get these guys acclimated a little bit more with the game speed. I know how much they value those joint practices, and of course you're going to be at one of them. But you think that's what it is more than anything else?
I would say seeing the younger players, but it's interesting you bring that as joint practices. So I was talking to Jason Light, the Bucs GM, yesterday, and he said, "Look, these joint practices will more or less, in their eyes, replace preseason games. I mean, maybe they'll play a couple of veterans, but he felt like the veterans, if you're going to go at it in this heat, which they're going to, because they're going to host. They're hosting today Miami, and then I think they're going to go against the Titans, which wherever it is, it's hot, whether it's Nashville and Tampa, and that's a lot of work. In fact, they'll call you. They call the joint practices mini games because you have your work against the other team, then you practice alone. So that's a lot of work. So to answer your question, to finish this off, there's no doubt that practicing less, there's certain things you give up. Being crisp early in the season, that's not going to change.
Adam, let me ask you, we were talking about this and whether you believe that this may be a fit or not. That's good to see you. There you go. We had your ear for a minute there. We need full Adam Caplan face. There it is.
I got a fat head, so.
No, I'm kidding. With the Jets losing Becton, and I know he's playing on the right side for them right now. That had been an issue with Dillard, but it's not as much now from what we're hearing. Do you think there's a possible partnership there with the Eagles and the Jets, with the Douglas Howie connection? Maybe Dillard going there at all?
Well, I know this George Fan could start at right tackle or left tackle as he did last year. He filled up for Becton. He did a great job. He was a surprise for them. But when you look at the situation, here's the problem, Rob, with trading Andre Dillard. Unless someone blows the Eagles away, because I know we had reported on Inside the Birds that a bunch of teams called the trade deadline last year. Carolina was definitely one of them, but Eagles were not really listening. And it's smart because unless someone says, hey, listen, what's it going to take? We want the player. Why would you do it and go to LaRaven Clark? Let's move this along here. So LaRaven Clark would be the answer. LaRaven Clark could get you out of a tough spot for 3 or 4 games. If your left tackle, Mailata, is out for 10 to 12, it's going to be a problem. This is the right-handed quarterback. This is the blind side. I would not – my left tackle has got to be – we got to have someone now, the other thing is you could let Dillard walk, obviously. If Dillard had to play 2 or 3 games and the tape is really good, Rob, it's going to get paid for agency. Then you get a decent compensatory pick. So
good point.
I would be against it. I'd be against it. I know the Eagles, if someone bowls them over, they'll definitely listen. It would surprise me if they'd move Dillard. It would.
Hey, Adam, in all your travels around the various training camps, which training camp facility, coaching staff do you enjoy the most visiting?
Well, the facility I like the best is no longer being used. It's Napa for the Raiders.
Okay.
By far the best. And so much has happened when I was there. The Al Davis stories, the Pope Mobile. I could go through like unbelievable stories, Derek. I know you have yours and you have travels and all the camps you've been to. I do miss Lehigh a little bit. I had fun there, but I'd have to say by far nothing will replace the Raiders in Napa. 05 was my first one. I want to give you a 30-second story. This is typical Raiders. They give you no information. I didn't know where to go, so I go to the Napa Marriott. So I'm walking around, and I see nothing. And they don't tell you anything. So I'm walking in the back, and I see a tennis court. I'm like, well, this can't be it. So I asked the security guard, hey, can you tell me where the fields are? He goes, you're looking at them. I'm like, what? This is a tennis court. He goes, no, look inside. So I look in, I peek in. I'm like, oh, my God, there are 2 fields here. And back in the parking lot. So they ripped up the parking lot, and they put 2 fields in there. And, folks, this is no lie. See, 05 through 19 was the last year they were there, and I was there for the last one. It never rained in 15 years. Not one day.
Wow.
You get this, D-Gun. In the morning, it's high 50s, low 60s. In the afternoon, it's high 70s, low 80s. No humidity, man. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. Little different than
bro.
Philadelphia right now.
Yeah,
Adam,
that's a good life.
Yeah, it's funny. Ironically, out here, I was with the Jaguars yesterday, no humidity. Today, it's hot as hell, but there's no humidity.
Oh, my God.
Well, let me ask you this. You had an opportunity to watch Hurts because I sat there and watched Hurts with you one day of practice. But you saw Tua also. I'm not going to say that, So how do you rate those two together?
I would say Hurts is the better athlete. He also has a stronger arm. Barrett, I watched Tua today, and there was a sideline throw. He threw it on time, but because he has no juice in his arm, it got deflected. He just now the thing is with this offense he's going to run, Mike McDaniel, the head coach, will call the plays. He's running Kyle Shanahan's offense. Mm-hmm. That creates a lot of space to throw. Jimmy Garoppolo did great in it.
Yep.
So you're not going to have to throw the ball deep a lot. It's going to be more run after the catch. The so-called air yards for those analytics people won't be very good, but the yak yards will be great. And Jimmy Garoppolo doesn't have a great arm, and he's done very well in it. And we'll see. I'll say this: the Dolphins are unbelievably loaded. And watching Tyreek Hill practice, and Carlton Davis is a really good corner for the Bucs. He's also tall. Tyreek Hill ran him inside out. It was pretty amazing to watch this guy practice up close.
Hey, Adam, I've said this on a number of occasions. I want to see if you agree or disagree with me. When it comes to the Miami Dolphins, I said this team would be a much more dangerous team with Teddy Bridgewater under center more so than Tua.
He's more of a check down quarterback. He's not going to drive it. Now, he's a smart quarterback. He won't turn it over. But the reason why he keeps moving is he's just not going to challenge. He won't turn it over. He's a great leader, but he's a shell of the player, I think, when he was drafted that the Vikings were thinking he was getting. He's a good backup. But honestly, though, if you watch Tua throw and Bridgewater throw, it's funny you mentioned that. Bridgewater threw the ball better, a little bit better today. It's funny you mentioned that. I did see that.
Let me ask you, speaking of Tyreek Hill tearing it up, A.J. Brown is on like a TO mission here early on, Adam, in practices. I mean, and I know it's practice, but he seems to be just absolutely in his zone, and they have a pretty good chemistry here. Do you think we're looking at monster production out of him and numbers from him this season?
Yes, Rob. In fact, I know the Titans very well, and I know how tough of a trade that was for them, and every practice is like his last. You've heard Allen Iverson say that. Mm-hmm. He just physically dominates. He doesn't take plays off. He's just, other than T.O., we've never seen anyone on the outside like this. I saw one of his first practices in 2019 at the Titans complex in Nashville. I was pretty impressed then, and seeing him as I was able to last week and the week before that, he's everything I thought and more. I don't know him personally, but he seems like he's attacking the practice like a chip on his shoulder because he was traded. You saw his quotes recently. Mm-hmm. I don't think he was happy about it, the way that went down. I know he got paid very well. Titans gave him a really low offer. I think they were concerned about the knee. One of the knees, he's had both fixed. Mm-hmm. But he looks great, and this guy's unbelievable. And, yeah, he and Hurts, Rob, have great chemistry. And you just see he's a guy who wears his heart on his sleeve, which is what we all love in Philly. And the fans are going to love him. They're going to fall in love with this guy. He's a pretty special football player.
Okay. Adam, let me ask you this, because this is a topic we just debated a couple of times earlier in this show. When it comes to having faith, who do you have more faith in, Sirianni, Steichen, or Gannon?
I would say Sirianni for sure, because I was so blown away. By middle of last season, he hands over the plays. Joe Banner told me Andy did that a lot. The media didn't know about it, but he was also a veteran coach.
Yeah.
This guy's a first-time head coach who, by the way, when he was with the Colts, he didn't call the plays there. Mm-hmm. He came in as a rookie play caller, rookie head coach. And to give it the play calling around midseason, it takes a lot. Look, what were they, 2-5, something like that?
Yep. Yeah, they were 2-5, yeah.
So Rob, to do that, I mean, that blew me away. I respect the heck out of it. Most coaches would not do that. They're so hell bent on calling a plays the first year. Then they might hand it off. So now I like what Hassan Reddick said about Gannon this week. He pretty much indicated he's going to be used the right way, which is to rush. I know some of us who are at practice were like, why is he dropping? Well, you can't rush every play. But But if they use him the right way, if Gannon uses the players the right way, this will be a defense you won't even recognize compared to last year.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Also, and I'm looking at Nick Sirianni as he is approaching this year, and the maturation he has with understanding what his guys do best, and then articulating to his coaches, and it goes downhill. I still haven't seen enough from Clay, Michael Clay. I mean, we have heard nothing from him. I mean, not a peep out of him on special teams or anything else. Have you heard anything, how that's going, because there used to be a strong set, for the Eagles to have the great special teams, which kept them in a lot of games also, but I haven't heard anything about him. I heard about, the other two coordinators, but nothing about Michael Clay.
Yes, so they fixed the issue with Aaron Sipos. That's how you say it. I was told 20 times to say it correctly. Sipos, I don't know what the hell it is, but I've been told repeatedly it's Sipos. So anyway, apparently they got his steps right, I was told. So they fixed that. You saw they fixed Jake Elliott last year. My goodness gracious. What a bounce back year.
Unbelievable.
Great year.
Now, the problem is the return game. Now, Britton Covey, we said this on our show in May. I still feel this could be the case most likely. Covey will make the team as the punt returner. I believe that. And I also think he'll be a backup slot. He'll play some slot. He's got outstanding short area quickness. Super.
Yes.
If you watch practice, this kid
changed my mind.
What's that?
He changed my mind.
How so?
In the aspect, I think he had a small chance of making the squad at the beginning of the year because they don't have those spots for him. They got talent from him at the wide receiver position, which will keep him off special teams. But he has done enough to change my mind about his opportunities, taking his opportunities and running with them, because I see him running with the ones on offense, but also, taking a lot of reps as punt team and showing that he can return. So he's changing my mind. I'm starting to think like I may have put my foot in my mouth, and I might have to apologize to the stream because of it.
But my issue though is the kickoff returns. It's probably going to be the kid, the track star. I don't think it's going to work. Alan, he's
no.
He's the shock season. Handed. He'll get you 8, which you're absolutely looking for. So they're going to answer your question. They're going to be better, but it'd be nice for an explosive play. And Jalen Reagor, if he's, I don't know what he'll be doing. Is
it just a matter of dead cap money and pride with where he was drafted, Adam, that he's still going to be here? I mean, is that what it comes down to?
We put this out, Rob, in May. They're not going to cut him. The cap's not the issue. It's you're not going to give him away. This guy was a first-round pick. I know he certainly hasn't played like it, but he also hasn't got much of a chance. And the Eagles have kind of replaced him with A.J. Brown and Quez Watkins, who's been a nice story, and obviously Devontae Smith. And Zach Passel's going to play because he knows the offense and he's close to Sirianni. There's really not a role for him here. But he's under contract. They're not going to cut him. The salary is very little. It's just less than $2 million. But how do you justify, Rob, paying a guy $2 million? That's the point.
That's a good point. Very valid point.
Yeah, Adam, I don't know. I mean, it feels like he's going to be here, and it feels like he shouldn't. And especially, as you mentioned, with Covey making it, they got some real tough roster questions. We were going over this earlier. I mean, they're deep. It's a good problem, but they're deep in a lot of spots here, Adam. There's going to be some quality guys that they're just going to have to let go.
It's funny you say that because I was talking to someone at practice the other day. I said, man, you guys, they're like 60 players you guys should keep, and it's completely different from previous years. I know the Seahawks would always tell me about that. God, we're gonna have tough cuts, man. We don't want to trade them. Well, there are going to be some players, the back end players that they probably like, that are maybe the 10th lineman or 11th lineman. They don't want to cut. You're right. You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. This is going to be interesting for you out there watching the show. Love to do their own 53. Your problem time is you're getting it right because the last 3 to 4 spots are going to be cannot keep everybody.
Amazing. Adam, listen, man, keep up the good work. When are you done? When's the tour done? When are we coming back?
Oh, yeah, I'll be back in 2 weeks. I'll be home. My last stop is with the Eagles and Dolphins on the 24th and 25th of this month. I will probably visit the Eagles one more time at Nova. But I've got to get as many teams in as possible. And I look for Browns the next week in Berea, Ohio, which is always a fun drive on the PH.
Yeah, that's going to be.
Was that Interstate 80?
It's 80 and 76. Yeah.
Yep. I've driven that many times, brother. Whew.
Adam, all right, be safe, man. Thanks for hopping on.
Thank you, Adam.
It's always fun.
Appreciate it, bro.
Later.
All right, take care, Adam Cap. We wrapped a little bit early. You had some technical stuff there. You guys are picking up that echo too, so just I know that was a little bit difficult.